Welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, broadcasting from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Empire and on the fringes with the New Republic. Join your hosts Garrett K. Jones, Brian Karasik, and John Mark Tolley as they discuss the various facets of the saga's lore and characters, review the films, and discuss every tidbit of news coming out of Lucasfilm. Remember, this isn't just your Star Wars, this isn't just my Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. This is the way.
I don't know anything at Huttese, but okay.
Solo. Oh, yeah, that's about it. I'm not drunk enough to sound like Jabba yet. Like I have three modes.
What's that?
Like I have three modes of drunkenness. It's slightly inebriated, sleepy, and then Jabba drunk. And I never make it to Jabba.
No, we never do. No one ever does.
It's
well, welcome once again to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. As you might notice, today we are talking the Hutts. We've already talked Jabba, but today we're talking the overall Hutts as a.
We really haven't talked Jabba because I'm not to spoil the ending of the show, but we're talking about him in detail next week.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
But we did mention Jabba and the Hutts briefly in our talk about the crime syndicates.
Yes, we did. But today we are talking just the Hutts as a species, their history, their background, and stuff like that, and just kind of where they fit into Star Wars lore and canon.
Yes. So first and foremost, obviously for me, the Hutts, my first interaction or my first introduction to the Hutts was Jabba, obviously.
Yes.
Was that the same for you?
Oh, yeah. Return of the Jedi. And even the first time you see Jabba, it's kind of jarring. I mean, you've been hearing, as you've watched the movies, you've been hearing kind of what you've been hearing about Jabba. He's in the background, that he's got something on Han, but then the first time you see him, it's just
it's a little overwhelming. It's a little terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the crawl sets it up perfectly for who Jabba and who the Hutts are, and especially Jabba when it describes him as vile. He's, and that kind of is, in a way, the Hutts in general, at least the Hutt crime syndicate. They're just, they're vile, they're disgusting, they're intimidating, but
they've also got kind of a weird sense of honor.
They do. They're very much mafioso. They're very, they do crime, but they still have that, the family system, the clans, the families, and it's very, very, very,
As someone of Italian descent, I don't know how I should feel about that. Like, is this supposed to be like some kind of like really negative, mafioso Italian stereotype, or like should I take?
Well, I was half expecting you to say, come up with a typical, the mafia doesn't exist.
I mean, they don't. Not unless they're wearing tracksuits. At which point they're just Russian.
I thought that was the Russians.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, I was about to say,
rushing around. All right, so oh gosh, so the Hutts species. Let's do a little bit of a deep dive into this here. So the Hutts are kind of interesting. Despite the fact that, you look at the top of this article, it says gastropod sentient species, but then you look down here on the biological classifications, and this is all, of course, on Wikipedia, but it says that they're a reptiloid classification of species, and just kind of a lot of, I mean, there's a bunch of different species that fall into this, but of course, obviously, we get the transitions and a few others. But for the most
Proteus,
part,
probably.
we don't see a lot of sentient reptiloid species.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe Yoda and his species, whatever they are, because otherwise, I mean, we get tauntauns, we get the Zillow beast, and stuff like that, and a lot of creatures that show up on Dagobah.
Tauntauns. Wait, hold a minute. Tauntauns are reptiles?
They're technically a reptomammal because they do have that weird kind of scaly skin, but then they also have hair, and they can keep an internal body temperature for a certain point of time.
Okay.
So I maybe I'm just pulling that out of my keister there. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of a weird distinction though. But yeah, they're very slug-like in their appearance, the way they move, the way they operate. But what is this advertisement? I hate these things. But they have a head, a torso, arms. Basically, they're Danny DeVito without legs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do we know about the Hutt, like, as far as history? Like, you've kind of touched on their biology, but I mean, as far as history goes,
well, so here's the question: what planet do they call home in the Star Wars galaxy?
I know this is a trick question, and I know it's not Nala Hutta.
Yeah, Nal Hutta is the planet that they have taken over as their home planet, but it's not their original planet. Their original planet was called Varl.
Was it?
Varl. VARL. It's like Carl with a V. A very deep
Carl.
V. And so basically, this is what we get on Wikipedia about Varl, or Varl Prime. It was in the Varl system. I'm going to keep saying that word. And it was orbited by 3 moons, situated along the Pobble Hutta hyperspace route. So it's out in the outer rim for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And was originally the homeworld of the Hutt species, back quite a while ago. And then apparently a pike baron tried to breed the K-Foundo kappa. Not entirely sure what that is. We'll have to look into that here. And then they escaped, and they made Nal Hutta their home. And that all happened 29 years before Yavin. So like during the time prior to the Clone Wars, like that's where they moved off of their home planet to Nal Hutta and took over.
Yeah. I mean, when we're dealing with there seems such like an enigma, like, because they seem so slow moving, so but they don't seem like they would pose that much of a physical threat, other than the fact that they're just big.
I disagree. I mean, based on their size, I mean, to move that much girth, I mean, like, we've got a picture here of Jabba the Hutt. Like, to move that much girth, there has to be muscle underneath. Okay, it can't just be that they're leaving a slime trail everywhere. Like, they have to physically move. And while Jabba is traditionally lazy, in fact, there's kind of a from what I remember reading in Legends, there's kind of a cultural norm that the bigger you are, the more beautiful you are in the Hutt culture. It, like, even still, there are some pretty strong individuals. Like, I mean, even Jabba, as lazy as he was, had the ability of moving where he needed to go, because he obviously had to get, onto his sail barge, or he had to move through the crowd when he was dealing with the pod racing in Mos Espa.
I mean, in the past, haven't we always seen, like, I've seen before where when we see a Hutt, when you get to a certain size where they have anti-grav lift that basically just moves them around. Though we do see Jabba moving in episode 1 in the pod raids.
And we do see him moving a little bit in the special edition of A New Hope.
Yeah.
But then we also get this image right here. This is from the Book of Boba Fett with the Hutts hanging out. And this is, well, I don't think that's Jabba, though, because I think this is well after Jabba died. But we get, there's a Hutt clan there, and they are actively doing what they do. They're just laying around, being carried by people that must have like Superman levels of strength to be able to carry that whole thing with two.
I know. I'm just how,
like, give these people some kind of like Nobel Peace Prize for putting up with that crap.
Yeah.
Here. This is a winner right here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no, thank you.
Ooh.
So when you first saw Jabba the Hutt, what was your initial thoughts about him? I mean, because how old were you when you first saw Jabba?
Probably about 6 or 7.
Okay, 6 or 7 years old. Yeah, I was. Well, Return came out when I was 1, and I don't remember. I mean, I remember vaguely seeing it in theaters because it's one of my earliest memories, but I didn't remember anything that happened from the movie until I was like 4 or 5. And so, like, seeing Jabba the Hutt freaked me out because he was just a big scary blob, and I just didn't care about it.
Yeah. It's that whole scene in Jabba's palace it's just creepy and just
it's one big death trap. It's a place where it's torture happens, imprisonment happens. You've got people who are being sentenced to death. I mean, it's
like I just thought of this. It's like you're combining like we mentioned, a crime lord with a medieval warlord.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. It's like you're combining the two, and there's that the Hutts have to have some sort of power. I mean, power hold to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I sorry if I ramble. I'm sorry. As I told Garrett before we got on, I'm working at about 4.5 hours of sleep. So if I start going Muppet, just.
So here's something, because like in episode 1, when they're thinking about landing on Tatooine to fix the hyperdrive for Queen Amidala's ship, like the first thing that pops up is like the Tatooine's run by the Hutts. The Hutts are gangsters.
Yeah, it's a Hutt space.
Yeah, and it freaked him out. And so like I was doing some digging here, and I found this out. It says the Hutts wield significant power due to their ancient and vast criminal empire. So their criminal empire goes back centuries. Even even the empire's like, we don't want to mess with you, because they probably have connections deep within the empire. But it's built on wealth and control of the outer rim trade routes, and that's where they get the bulk of their financing, particularly through smuggling and slavery. So these guys are like they have hit the pinnacle of it. And part of what helps them is, one, that Hutts are not stupid. They might be arrogant, they might be jerks, but they're not stupid. They're incredibly smart. And but they also live for long periods of time, like centuries.
Yeah. Well, I think also, I mean, we've kind of talked about the crime syndicates too, but the Hutts seem to have cornered the slave market.
Mhm.
Like that's their,
they almost have like a specific partnership with traditions. Like because I mean, Bosk was one of Boba, or not Boba, but Jabba's main main bounty hunters.
Yeah. So which leads me to wonder, like, what was Han smuggling when he got caught?
That's the funny thing is it's
Because we know that Han had a thing had a thing with, considering his history with Chewie about smuggling. Was it spice? Where was Jabba trying to get in on the spice trade? Maybe.
well, so that's what I'm pulling up. So
Because they never say.
Here's the question that I'm posing is, what was Han Solo smuggling for Jabba when he dropped cargo to run from the Empire? And you were absolutely right. It's the glitter stem spice.
Mm-hmm.
He was smuggling spice for Jabba when he was forced to dump his cargo to escape an Imperial patrol.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, they were trying to get in on the spice trade, which would
have encroached on the Pikes, because
Yes.
that's what the Pikes they were the drug dealers.
Yes. Glitter stem spice in the galaxy. It would, yeah. So yeah, it's the Pike Syndicate is the big one. They were the dominant one.
Yeah.
But eventually the Hutts and the Empire also got themselves involved.
All involved, yeah.
So like the Pikes controlled the supply. But I think it's interesting because like I'm looking here and it says the Hutts they had extensive involvement in the spice trade, often in direct conflict with the Pikes. The Hutts commanded a vast network of smugglers and criminal contacts across the galaxy, which allowed them to traffic all types of spice. And the Kessel Run was a smuggling route that Jabba used specifically for this.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, there's a so more than likely it was a newer thing for them, but they had their hand in it regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. Deep stuff.
There, yeah. Now, do we ever see now in Legends, or whether it be Legends or New Canon, do we ever see any good Hutts? Like a Hutt that's or is it like a species that's always kind of the villain, or at the very most an antagonist?
That's a very good question, and I'm looking that up right now. And there have been some good or ethically pragmatic Hutts in Star Wars, but they're the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
Notable examples include Blottis, a popular Hutt chancellor from the Old Republic era, Juvard Illip, Olgarob, a pragmatic doctor and scientist who helped fight the Eternal Empire in the Old Republic, and then getting into the section of Star Wars lore that Brian absolutely hates, members of the Hutt clan who aided the New Republic during the Yuuzhan Vong War. There's a few others. In fact, there was a Hutt who was a Jedi during the Old Republic era named Beldorian.
I think I've seen. I think I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a picture of a Hutt wielding a lightsaber against, it looks like Quinlan Voss. And that sounds absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Because like I'm looking at this picture right here. This dude right here. Like, that looks almost uncannily like the basis for what we're going to see of Stinky in Mandalorian and Grogu. Like, remember how jacked Roto looked in that trailer last week.
Yeah.
This is what I'm picturing, and like I would not want to fight that.
No.
Because the other thing that makes Hutts as a species incredibly difficult, like in this picture, Vader's got his lightsaber out, it's primed, he's ready to fight, but he's not going to be able to do much against a Hutt because Hutts secrete this goop, this slime that actually makes them temporarily impervious to lightsaber strikes.
Wow.
Like I'm trying to figure. Yeah, it's crazy stuff too. Because like, okay, hold on. Let me get back on this. There's some confusion. Okay, it says here that Hutts are not immune to lightsabers. So my bad. If anyone wants to call me out, you can write me at info@lucasfilm.com and send it to them, or address it to kkennedy@lucasfilm.com. Yeah. Just in the subject line, say Garrett's wrong. But it says, yeah, they are naturally resistant to Jedi mind tricks due to their strong wills, a trait shared by Toydarians, but they are vulnerable to physical attacks, including lightsabers, and can be killed by them. Their natural defense is their thick blubber and musculature, which protects their vital organs, but a direct hit from a lightsaber would be fatal.
Okay.
Makes me wonder if you could use a force choke to choke them out.
Yeah, well, I mean, Leia didn't use force choke, but she did.
No, she forced Jabba the Hutt to choke, but that's only because she was using a very, very heavy chain.
Yes, and how she got the title Hutt Slayer.
Yes, because there aren't too many of those around.
No.
And that would have been so cool, like going through the rest of it, like someone like at no point, I mean, this is a big deal that Leia killed a Hutt, and nobody in the rebellion's like, hey, I heard you killed Jabba the Hutt. Whoa, great job. No. She gets zero credit for that.
And Jabba and Chewbacca's sitting there saying, yeah, how does it feel now, huh? Yeah, no credit. Yeah.
Where's your gold medal?
Doesn't feel good, does it?
Of course, at this point, Leia has passed on to the Force and still hasn't gotten her medal. Meanwhile, Chewie has. And that's canon. Dude, I would like to see more of the Hutts. That's kind of one of the things I'm kind of excited about for Mandalorian Grogu. I'm cautiously optimistic about the movie, like I said last week. But the fact that we get to see more of the Hutts and we get to see a Hutt in action,
we haven't seen other than the two Hutts that we see in Book of Boba Fett. We haven't really seen the Hutts since Disney. We didn't see any Hutts in the sequel trilogies. There's none in Mandalorian.
There's none in any of the shows other than Book of Boba Fett.
So seeing the Hutts return.
I mean, we did get some of them in the animated series. I mean, obviously there was Zero the Hutt, who is the stand-in for Truman Capote.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, we don't get anything.
Yeah. And I'd like to get more on not just Hutt culture, but like the actual Nala Hutta government. Like, do they have does the planet have its own government? Does it have its own?
It's
or
funny
are they
that
all just ran by crime lords.
Well, it's pretty much a crime lord area because from what I've been reading, Nal Hutta doesn't have its typical your typical government because based on what I'm seeing here, it says that it's a major haven for both government-aligned Hutt clan and other criminal elements throughout the galaxy. And so they don't have much of a real like organized government. It's basically the Hutts are there, they're in control. Whoever's currently sitting on the throne is the person in charge. And so it's kind of an interesting setup here because it's probably one of the only enclaves of strictly criminal organizations possible. I would like to see Nal Hutta because I'm curious because like I'm looking here, it does show up. It shows up in the Clone Wars. 3 episodes: the hunt for Zero, Friends and Enemies, and Eminence. But we don't get a whole lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's mentioned only in the Book of Boba Fett. Everything else is either in books or it's in graphic novels or comic books. And so we don't, and it's all done visually, but no action taking place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is interesting because like Nal Hutta as a planet was actually like the way because it's a swampy bog planet. And part of the issue is that they have is there was a crisis called the Drengir crisis during the High Republic era. And the Drengir were kind of like these like meat-eating plant creatures that could like they could kind of control humans. Like they're like a biological plant matter version of the Borg. With a hive mind. And they looked specifically for worlds full of living creatures because they fed on them. There's like it's kind of like the Borg meets the Flood from Halo.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I've listened to a couple of audiobooks that deal specifically with the kind of the aftermath of the initial Drengir crisis, but it doesn't take place on Nal Hutta. So yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Hutts are a fascinating species. Like I would love to see them be portrayed. Like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing Rhoda back in action, but I would love to see more of the Hutts. We need that in the franchise.
Yes. More Hutt.
More Hutts, less Jedi. More of the things that make up the world that all the main characters have been living in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, we're coming up to our half-hour mark.
And I'm okay with keeping this as a short episode because there's not really much on the Hutts because, everything we've got is either already on screen or it's, there's really nothing new about them.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Next week, we are going to be continuing where we were today. We're talking about the most popular and well-known Hutt, Jabba.
Yes. Not to be confused with his cousin, Pizza the Hutt, who ate himself in his own limo, or Java the Hutt, who is just, he's a little antsy, a little wired up, and we tend to avoid that guy.
Yes,
especially on Mondays.
Yes. Anyway, Garrett, why don't you tell the folks out there where all the information that we need to find the people that we need to find and the things that need to be done?
I'll let you talk about Brian, but I'll share about myself here. So for those of you wanting to connect with me, you guys can find me on Instagram and X at GKJ_publishing, where I talk about my books, The Archives of Async Ran, and my newest title, Midnight Playground. Or I also talk about my my show on YouTube called The Right Way, where we talk book recommendations, author interviews, and creative writing tips. I have a brand new episode coming out this Saturday, October the 4th. I'm really excited. This is going to be my season 8 premiere. It's going to lay out everything to expect from the beginning of October all the way through the calendar year going into the end of December. And I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, if you want to get hold of our other co-host who will, unfortunately, he is once again not able to join us due to computer issues and other things. But if you want to get a hold of Brian Karasik, he is the curator of a Facebook page, The Sith Library, where he and others post all kinds of stuff from Sith history, poems, all kinds of stuff like that. You can also get a hold of him on Instagram at Carosis. So get a hold of him there, and hopefully he will be rejoining us because we miss him here at War of the Stars. If you want to get a hold of us here at War of the Stars, you can do so through our email, warofthestars1@gmail.com. We are also on all other social media at War of the Stars 77. If you want to support the show, Ko-fi.com/War of the Stars or spreadshirt.com/shop/war-of-the-stars. Let's see, what else do we have? Feast of Fandoms, of course, if you want to get check out all the shows of Feast of Fandoms. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. Yeah, basically anything geeky or nerdy. Sorry guys, I'm just out of it today. Just check it out. Check us out next week as we talk Jabba the Hutt. We're talking Jabba. Oh, I need to go to bed. Sorry. As always, remember that not just my Star Wars, not just your Star Wars, my Star Wars, our Star Wars. You know the deal. May the Force be with you. See you all next week.